To Each a Tempo, an Ace Attorney and Elite Beat Agent's fanfiction, Chapter 16. Of all the people to scuttle up to him during a confused recess, Phoenix wouldn't have expected Barley. Maya and Stewart stepped easily aside to make room for him, and Barley's lanky frame didn't take up as much room as they seemed to expect.
I'm sorry.
His eyes were fixed firmly on the floor, palms wiping on his smeared apron.
I didn't mean to interrupt your case, Mr. Wright. I just had to.
It's no problem. Nick's used to people barging in.
Sad, but true.
It's fine, Barley.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Barley's eyes widened, and he scrambled to adjust his cap.
Oh goodness, I didn't mean to be rude.
He offered a hand to Stewart.
I'm Barley Dempster, Chef LaFlamme's apprentice.
Stewart Lowe. Nice to meet you.
The two of them had met already, in a way, but music sense didn't seem as straightforward as a name and a handshake. It was possible to know someone inside and out without knowing the simplest details about them. With a grateful nod, Barley returned his gaze to the floor.
What I mean is, I had to come for Cherry, but you, Stewart, you're being accused, right, of the murder.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, it's a good thing I came, because you look just like him, and if LaFlamme was trying to protect him...
Trying to protect who?
A customer. Please don't think badly of Cherry. She's just looking out for her business. She works really hard. She really does. But I've got a bad feeling from him. I shouldn't. He's the best regular we've got. But he's nice enough. Cherry's just been so tense lately.
Barley looked at Phoenix, full of the same shivering bravery as when his hands were full of food-streaked towels.
She wouldn't. She wouldn't do anything wrong, Mr. Wright. She's just has something hurting right now. Something on her mind since that morning. I wish I knew what happened, but she won't talk about it. And she hates asking for anything. She needs someone to make her talk. I've never been very good at that.
So Cherry had a thorn in her paw, but she also had evidence piled against her. Where could the contradiction be? What did Cherry have in her defense other than Barley's word?
We'll help, Barley. We'll find the truth for great justice.
Thank you.
He managed a watery smile.
But Heavens, the orchard! I had to, but I'm not watching the orchard. Oh dear, I need to go. Just take care of Cherry. Please, Mr. Wright.
A moment passed, the three of them watching grease-streaked Barley vanish into the suit-and-tie courthouse crowds.
I believe him.
Stewart shifted on his feet.
It's hard to say, but the vibes I get from him and Cherry, they're about moving forward. You know what I mean?
Phoenix, Jay, LaFlamme is on her way back. I'd imagine court will resume as soon as she's in custody. According to Agent Recon, she's protecting a customer of the bistro.
Barley's story checked out, at least.
And it was someone present on the morning of the murder. Someone LaFlamme thinks had a plan. I have a bad feeling about this, Phoenix. I need that patron's name as soon as you can get it.
So one customer could be that important, worth a whole business and its owner. The evidence and possibilities raced in Phoenix's mind. There was always another side to the story. The law's servants filed back to order, but it took long moments of the judge banging his gavel to silence the buzzing gallery.
Order in the court! Are you prepared to resume the trial, Chef LaFlamme?
Cherry once again gripped the stand with hard claws. Her glare had dulled, and her red aura had cooled.
Let's get one thing muffin mixin' straight. I'm gonna tell you what happened before the murder. What actually happened. Just don't jump to any nutty conclusions. You got that right?
How is this my fault?
Maya put a thoughtful finger to her temple.
You can get a bit nutty sometimes, Nick. Like a fruitcake. Totally bananas.
Couldn't she keep her mind off her stomach for a few minutes? The judge nodded.
I hope the prosecution won't agitate the witness either.
I wouldn't dream of it, Your Honor.
There was a big difference between dreaming and doing, after all.
Then please give us your revised testimony, Chef LaFlamme.
With a deep breath, Cherry began.
So that whole morning, I was either in the kitchen cooking for all I was worth, or in the front serving customers. I didn't see anything out the side window. How the lasagna-layered hell could I have done that? All I know is I saw whoever killed the old bird running across the street, and it looked like they were going into the orchard's alley.
Hold it! That was the dark-clothed man you mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
Funny. Phoenix had expected a much wordier answer. Cherry tugged idly at the rubber bands around her wrist.
I was pretty pear-picking busy, you know. I didn't really get a good look at him. Like I said earlier, dark clothes and a freaked-out look on his face coming out of the forest. What? Didn't the camera tell you anything, Edgeworth?
It didn't at first, because of the data you attempted to destroy, Chef LaFlamme.
Cherry shifted, grimacing like holding her comments back left a bad taste in her mouth.
However, during the recess, the police department completed retrieval of the file.
Retrieval?
Yes, Your Honor. There is a security camera in the orchard's alleyway
Cost a cornbread an arm and a frickin' leg.
that had its feed interrupted by an electrical surge. The main lines to the camera are behind a locked gate that Chef LaFlamme has the keys to, and since she turned the device's storage module in to the police, it's only reasonable that LaFlamme was the one to tamper with the device.
Tampering by force, though. Did LaFlamme do that, or did someone else?
Foxx sounded much more suspicious about the latter. Why would Cherry need to rip the wires out of a device she had complete access to? But if Cherry had a problem with the camera's condition or the accusation of evidence fixing, she was biting her tongue about it. She glared at Edgeworth instead, who had produced a photo.
Electronic files can be salvaged from seemingly destroyed hardware, and the camera's last image, taken within moments of the murder, is a telling one indeed.
The court accepts it into evidence.
Phoenix received a copy from the bailiff. The photo was a harshly slanted aerial view of the orchard's alley, trash bags and brick and monotone. Daylight streamed in from the right side, and the fence's board's edges divided the scene into uneven halves. A timestamp along the edge placed the photo at 11:25 a.m., within minutes of the murder. Maya stretched closer to peer at it.
That's the alley, all right. Hey, what's that?
Huh? Where?
Right there.
She poked the lower left corner of the photo, pointing at an odd-shaped black spot in the fence's shadows.
Looks like a gob of chocolate pudding to me.
Phoenix raised an eyebrow at her.
I don't think the police department needs dessert while photocopying evidence.
Why not?
Okay, so there's the picture. I wasn't done with my stinking testimony.
Very well, Chef LaFlamme. Do go on.
About time you got it right. The camera was set to take a photo of the alley once a minute. Beats the meringue out of me why something that expensive doesn't take footage. Balsamic dressing, bib. But it keeps the punks away, and I guess it got that shot of the running guy.
If I may direct the court's attention to this portion of the photo, the lower left side.
This dark spot? Why, it looks almost like a licorice twist.
Or pudding.
That spot is not any sort of dessert, but in fact the leg of the dark-clothed suspect.
The judge hummed, smoothing his beard.
Yes, the defendant was wearing a black suit and dress shoes when he was arrested, wasn't he?
And that would match Chef LaFlamme's account?
Edgeworth phrased it like a question, with a quiet lilt of,
You won't stand for that, will you, Wright?
no. Phoenix wouldn't.
Objection! There's no way to confirm that this leg in the photo is my client's leg. Anyone at all can wear a suit and black shoes.
But only the defendant was seen running from the park and into the alley, and he was arrested in that alley moments later. Mr. Wright, do you have evidence that the person in the photo is not the defendant?
No proof that it was Stewart, and no proof that it wasn't. Phoenix's thoughts left the box's confines, flew and found the fence's door's groaning hinges, the flash of a brass lock.
I have proof, Your Honor.
He tapped the photo.
Right here.
In the photo? And where is this proof?
Phoenix looked across the court to Edgeworth.
Well, this fence has a door in it. It was shut at the time of my client's arrest, wasn't it?
According to police report, the fence door was locked at the time of Mr. Lowe's arrest with a reinforced brass padlock that showed no signs of tampering. The opposite end of the alleyway is blocked by a 15-foot brick wall. No keys were found in the area or on the defendant's person.
Straightening, Phoenix put hands to his hips.
Then the person in the photo can't be my client. He's on the wrong side of the door.
Even so, the defendant could have climbed the fence.
But why would he get onto the other side of the fence, only to climb back and be caught by police? That makes no sense.
I must agree, it seems unlikely that the defendant would get past the fence, then return to be arrested. Then, how do you explain this individual in the photo, Mr. Wright?
There were plenty of possible answers, a faked photo or a fake timestamp or a deceiving shadow from alley trash, but they still didn't know who Stewart followed into that alley. There was still a person missing from the puzzle. Cherry was protecting that person.
The person in the photo is not my client, but I believe Chef LaFlamme can tell us who it is.
The court held its breath while Phoenix looked to her. Another moment of tense stare passed between them, and then Cherry glared at the floor, propping hands on her hips. Phoenix thought suddenly of coals, red and gray and quietly searing.
It's come to this, huh? Haven't you poked around enough to guess, right?
She needs someone to make her talk.
This time, Phoenix knew where to pry.
Chef LaFlamme,
He pressed palms to the stand. He leaned forward and felt taller.
I know you're hiding something. I know you're protecting someone. And if you withhold information, this court could find you guilty instead. For the sake of everything you worked for, just tell us.
Pressing her face into a palm, Cherry hissed a sigh.
Every day the orchard's been open, every single macerating day he's been there. Pathos. His name is C.O.G. Pathos.
No.
Another sniff, and Cherry shot her glare back at Phoenix. Not defeated. Never.
That's the guy in the photo. His apartment's on the other side of the fence, you know. He carped at the landlord till she put some home protection rigmarole. Wanted his front door safe. I never had to put the person appealing camera there for him. Figures that it comes to this.
Then why do you think this person in the photo is Mr. Pathos?
Because I saw him that morning, damn it. I see him every day. Pate on toast, I know what the bastard looks like. Always dresses nice, suit and tie, his hair done, the whole hog.
Like Stewart.
Like an agent, no.
Keys clattered in Phoenix's earpiece.
The defense requests that the witness testify again about the individual she saw.
Edgeworth folded his arms and said nothing.
Please state once more for the court what you saw the morning of the murder, Chef LaFlamme. And be sure not to leave out any details.
Lynn's a freaking tort. Like I said before, I was basil picking busy that morning, but Pathos was there for the beginning of the rush.
Hold it! And when did the lunch rush begin?
Maybe 10:30, give or take. Pathos had the scallopini. That one just needs a minute in the pan and a few tornade carrots. I got that one made quick. Even got to chat with him for a few minutes before the rest of the rush hit. He's writing some new article about the FBI or something.
And how long did Mr. Pathos stay?
Pickled if I know. It was the lunch rush after that. I didn't have time to breathe, never mind to look at the clock. Next thing I knew, it was 1:30.
If he had time to eat a meal and begin writing, that must have taken at least 20 minutes.
20 minutes? 20 minutes for fine dining?
Cherry gripped the stand.
Monterey Jack, people like you, 45 minutes at least. Pathos had something resembling a palate.
Alright.
Cuisine was indeed serious business.
But you don't know exactly when Mr. Pathos left. Do you know the time you saw the dark-clothed figure running across the street?
During the rush, for the love of Dacomo, stick to washing dishes if you can't keep that much straight.
If we may continue, you're familiar with Mr. Pathos, Chef LaFlamme, and you know how he was dressed on the morning of the murder. Are you sure you cannot identify the dark-clothed runner?
She paused and glared thoughtfully at the floor.
You noticed when Pathos left, Chef LaFlamme. Why were you paying that kind of attention if you were so busy?
He said something weird. I caught it while I was going by.
Something weird? What sort of weird?
Something about getting one this time. Damned if I knew what he meant. He just grabbed his stuff and bolted.
So, Mr. Pathos was behaving strangely before he left. Did you notice anything else remarkable?
Left crumbs all over the salt curing place that day. He doesn't usually make that much of a mess. He's got half an ounce of table manners, unlike most people.
She paused again, smoothing her whites like forcibly lowering her own hackles.
I had Pathos's scallopini plate in my hand when I saw the guy running. I had a bad grip on it and was having a flounder potent aneurysm at the thought of dropping it. China's freaking expensive, you know. And then it was all pouring drinks and racing around like a headless chicken again. You'd think iced tea was going out of style.
The relevant details, please, Chef LaFlamme.
That's irrelevant to my panini pressing livelihood. Fine, the running guy, that's the part you want to hear about.
Thick silence fell.
I can't remember.
She shook her head, braids swaying.
I can't freaking remember. Except that he was in dark clothes, a dark suit. It must have been. I saw a tie. Maybe the running guy was blondish. Pathos is blonde too, and maybe he had a freaked out look on his face. I just know I had a weird feeling something was wrong. Pathos has been good to the orchard. He's always there. He tips. If it was him, the least I could do was maple glazed ham.
That's understandable. A baked ham would be a wonderful thank you gift.
I don't think that's what she meant, Your Honor. But what Chef LaFlamme clearly does mean is that Mr. Pathos was behaving strangely even before the murder. He was unaccounted for after that, and he may have fled Foster Park shortly after the murder took place.
The same way Mr. Lowe was seen fleeing, but neither the surveillance photo nor Chef LaFlamme's account are decisive proof that Mr. Pathos was present at the scene of the murder.
I agree, Mr. Edgeworth.
The judge reached for his gavel as he came to his decision.
This individual sounds suspicious, but there's no decisive proof against him. I believe that further investigation is necessary, and I trust that the prosecution will look further into that issue. Until tomorrow, this court is adjourned.
Court flooded out into the lobbies, and Foxx hardly waited that long.
I knew it. I suspected it. This matches up too neatly to be a coincidence. I should have been...
We still got time.
Phoenix. Stewart Pathos is flagged in our records as a security breach. He's been trying to expose the Elite Beat Agency for years.
So, could this murder be an attack on the agency?
Some kind of deliberate sabotage, just like Foxx had wondered while they looked at a sketchy map together. Phoenix caught Maya's eye for a worried instant.
But how could this happen?
We hadn't been keeping close tabs on him personally. He publishes articles arguing that the agency is a cruel, large-scale hoax, but he can't argue very effectively. The only concrete truth he knows is what the male agent's uniform looks like. We should have known there would be trouble. He's been too calm.
Stewart raked a hand through his hair.
We hoped he'd be okay. That's all we can do.
Hoped he'd be okay? Did you try to help him?
Yeah, something like that. But,
Stewart looked up suddenly. The bailiff still hovered across the room, too close for comfort.
Phoenix, Jay, patching an agent report through. Hello, team. Do you copy?
Starr, we never talk anymore.
Tell her I say hi.
It's been too long.
Phoenix could practically see her sunny, sly smile.
But I have good news. I met again with Mr. Vanderspiegel, and he's taken well to the idea of the agency.
He probably also took well to Starr's false name and rhymed off half of its family tree.
So, we can trust Vanderspiegel?
Well, he has no way of contacting us, and all he knows is a nutshell version of what the agency does. But he's a friend, yes. Jay is still listed in the employee rosters, and Vanderspiegel's expressed that I'll do more favors for the agency's greater good. Keep in mind, Phoenix, if you ever need...
Static, a harsh grating in Phoenix's ear, and then silence. He was alone again, blind again, and panic forced a hand to his communicator.
Starr? Foxx?
Try barrel roll.
It's just interference.
He folded his arms reluctantly around his chest.
Foxy will have it back up in no time.
And Stewart would know, but that didn't make the seconds writhe by any quicker. The lobby's crowds roared dull around them.
Testing. Come in BA2.
At your service.
No amount of static could hide the taut-drawn panic in Fox's words.
Alternate comm procedures. Alert mode. Over and out.
And with another crackle, the line went silent.
Alternate comm procedures?
Sounds important.
Stewart chewed his lip.
Alert mode means somebody's catching on, so be careful. Be invisible. She's got our feeds. If this is what I think it is, somebody's messing with our comm lines.
He glanced again to the bailiffs. They stirred to action and began their approach across the lobby.
I better pitch a fit if I don't get the shoes back. At least we can have some info.
He offered a weak fragment of a smile to Phoenix and Maya, and turned toward the bailiffs.
Come to the detention center, Mr. Wright. Miss Faye. This pathos guy. Looks like it's up to me to fill you in.
To Each a Tempo was written by Pyrasaur. Ace Attorney and Elite Agents are owned by Capcom and Enis, respectively. The narrator for this story is Genndy C.O.G. The voice of Phoenix Wright is Lastni. The voice of Maya Faye is Miki. The voice of Miles Edgeworth is Lazy Ace Dia. The voice of the judge is Genndy C.O.G. The voice of Agent J is also Genndy C.O.G. The voice of Agent Starr is Swivelswirl. The voice of Agent Foxx is Galen Skibyak. The voice of Cherry LaFlamme is Katie Hiatt. The voice of Barley Dempster is Ronson Harrington. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.